Shifting breezes grace the inner spectrum of your glance.
Today on The Minds with Hakeem, I sat down with Dr. Darlene Turner, who's a Christian counselor, an author, a vlogger, and a public speaker in the Des Moines area. Dr. Turner has been counseling families since 1993, where she specialized in premarital counseling and published 2 books with a third on the way. We unpacked a lot in this episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. Here we are on The Minds today, and I have Dr. Darlene Turner. Can you say hi to the people for us?
Hello, everyone.
Good. First and foremost, I just want to check in with you. How have you been during the pandemic, and how have you been affected?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing quite well during the pandemic. I know a lot of people have been struggling. I think in the beginning, just like everyone else, it was really hard. I think one of the things I had decided to do, though, is to take a little bit of a break from the television because I think in the beginning, when a lot of people didn't know really what was going on or how we were going to move forward, I think fear paralyzes people. And so I thought that it would just be a really good idea to catch it when it was necessary, but the other times just to kind of lay low. So
that's great you say that, because like that's kind of how I am in the aspect. Like I can't absorb so much information because then it's on the brain like 24/7, and
absolutely
you're thinking about it and they're creating that perception. So I'm glad to hear you say that. Like, because a lot of people was just zoomed in to their social media feed or whatever.
Yes, and I know during the pandemic, you know, anyone who is a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, generally during crises, your numbers go up. So we haven't been affected in that way. In fact, we generally have major overflow. So unfortunately, we have overflow because people are struggling. And so we try to just really come alongside of them and support them through whatever they're going through. So that's kind of how it's affected us.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good that you haven't been affected in a super negative way.
Yes.
It's not so good that people need y'all more. I'm not saying counseling isn't a good thing, but it's good to have people in place to help people.
For sure.
Moving on. Could you give us a couple examples of your background and like what got you into becoming a counselor?
Absolutely. I was actually born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. I haven't lived here my entire life, but for most of my life I have been here. There was a time period where we lived in Baltimore for a select time, but then for the most part, I was raised in Iowa. And so married, and I have a child, and went to Iowa State University for my undergrad. I got my master's at Iowa. Thank God I had an academic scholarship. Probably wouldn't have been able to afford to go. And then got my doctorate degree in Nouthetic counseling. And so I worked as a traditional mental health therapist for a number of years. Worked at the hospital and contracted with the state, and just would testify on behalf of clients. Did a lot of that stuff. But my heart really was pulled towards Christianity quite a bit. And so I ultimately went into private practice. It's probably been almost 15 years now. So I have a couple of practices here in West Des Moines and then one in Pella, Iowa.
Oh, nice. Go Pella. Land of the Dutch.
Exactly.
Land of the Dutch. I like Pella.
Exactly. I love Pella.
So just jumping off script a little bit, about like what age were you founded by Christ? Because I'm a Christian as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love to hear that story.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a PK. I'm a pastor's kid.
Okay.
So my parents don't live in the Des Moines area. They actually pastor in the Waterloo area. I'm, not from there, never lived there. But I got saved. I really would say became a devout Christian. Probably more like 12 years old. And so before, I think it was more of a religious experience for me. And that's just me personally. But I really began to really feel like Christ was really real at that age. And I think I was at a tent revival. My mom's from the Kojic church, but my dad's a Baptist pastor. So I went to quite a few revivals growing up. And so my Christianity came really then. Yeah. I think I had a really clear understanding about, I felt like who God was and who he was calling me to be. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for that insight too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jumping on, what type of counseling do you specialize in?
Absolutely. Like I said before, I do Nouthetic counseling, and Nouthetic just means Bible-based. It's a Hebrew word. So it's very,
I'm not gonna lie.
It's very similar to pastoral counseling, is what it is. And so, like I said, because I was a mental health therapist for a number of years, and I've been in private practice for 15 years doing Nouthetic counseling. I really kind of do a combination of both, meaning that for traditional therapy, when one comes in, people are primarily the only ones kind of speaking, whereas with Nouthetic counseling, our goal is, just like with mental health therapy, is to get to the root cause of the issue. But we want you to leave with skill development. We want you to leave that if you have an issue and a problem and it's become a consistent pattern in your relationships, and you feel like you're in a dysfunctional relationship, the goal is to get you to a place where you become educated and you leave with actual skills that will help you either get out of that bad relationship or to move into a healthy one. And so that's kind of the type of counseling I do. I was schooled when I went to school. Like, I think today a lot of people are more specialized, whereas I am kind of old school where it was more of a general practice. So I was trained in like everything.
Okay,
so
good.
because when I worked at the hospital, we worked with children, we facilitated groups, we worked with homeless outreach, we worked with the IFSAP group, which was for sexual perpetrators. So I would go into the jails. I mean, we did everything.
Yeah, I was pretty much gonna ask you, like, do you kind of like, because I know I tell you before, I kind of like I stay in my lane.
Yes.
I was gonna ask you, do you kind of like practice on like other, like getting out of your lane, or do you have experience with it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would say for every year, I kid you not, it's almost like a different season for people. So I do do a lot of individual counseling. I do a lot of like dating counseling, premarital and marriage counseling. But I also work with those who are struggling with, drugs and alcohol addictions, all sorts of things. But I would probably primarily say individual women's ministry and with marriages, that kind of thing.
Oh, nice. And you kind of lit up when you said that. I think that's might be the one you enjoy the most. With helping people
Absolutely.
But just being a counselor and a helper, we need more people like that.
Yes.
Anyways.
Yes.
So what are some qualities that you possess that makes you a good that you would consider to make you a good counselor?
I think maybe one of my strengths is I'm a good listener. And I think that when individuals come in, like I can have 5 married couples that come in, but I tailor make each counseling session for that individual because I think that everyone is different. So I definitely would say listening is one of my strengths. And I feel like if you have not heard the individuals that come into your practice, it's really hard to minister to them.
Can I cut you off really quick?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to get out there that listening is a lost trait.
Yes,
in
it
this
is.
world today.
It really is.
Like I've been practicing with my listening. I've been trained to not listen and zone stuff out so much.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you say one of your great traits are listening,
absolutely,
that is a lost art.
Absolutely.
In this world. I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
No,
I just wanted to get that out there.
You're good.
You had any other traits?
Well, yeah. So listening is one of them. And so with listening, telling the individual what I think I hear you saying is X, Y, and Z so that you can get clarity along the way. But also I think edifying and building people up is everything. Like I don't care what you're going through. I always tell people don't jump ship when you are in the midst of a crisis. Have someone come alongside of you. Even if it's a friend, if it's a pastor, if it's a counselor. But I think it's a blessing to have someone who doesn't know your situation because then they're not emotionally tied and it's not going to be skewed. Yeah. And so I always say get the advice, but at the end of the day, you have to be the one to make the decision. But I always tell people I am not here to judge anyone. My role is, and I have seen everyone and every background.
I know you got stories.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, and I'll take it to my grave, but at the end of the day, people just really need to feel loved. They need to feel supported and they need to know that no matter what you have done, you are not your behavior. You know what I mean? God has something greater for you. And my role is to see someone blossom and rejoice in that. So, yeah.
And you kind of hit on just people seeking outside help instead of, it's so much easier to go to your brother who's going to completely agree with everything you say.
Exactly.
And I think, like, can you kind of elaborate on like the comfortability. I mean, the progression that
Yes.
humans get by
Yes.
seeking outside help instead of
Absolutely.
going to friends.
I have literally have seen, because I also do mentorship or whatever. I have helped just come alongside people who were starting their business, and now they are like big wigs in other states. I also have seen people who are struggling with many different types of addiction, who are now mentoring other people that are in
With those
addictions.
addictions.
Absolutely. I always
yeah.
say for every one person, let's say God has 100 people that will come alongside of them. Let's call them laborers. That come alongside of them and support them through their journey. Sometimes I could be person 99. So sometimes I will see most of the time the fruit. And then there are times where people will struggle, and I will always tell them, when you are ready, I am always here. But at the end of the day, people just really need to know that they're loved and that they're supported. And I think that is the message that Christ wants to give people.
Good. I love that. I love that answer. You got them quick for me, like rapid fire. That's great. I can tell you talk to people all day. So what are some benefits of counseling, and why should people consider coming to counseling or therapy?
Okay.
Stuff
Yes.
like
I mean, a lot of benefits for counseling is, I mean, let's just keep it real. Life is hard. It's tough.
It can beat you up.
It can beat you down. And, if you are one who has struggled and you feel like you came from a dysfunctional family and you feel like, they don't celebrate your successes, or you feel like they may make you feel like you think you're more than that, and that's not your heartbeat. I just really feel like having a message of having someone to be there to support you through that is everything. And I just really feel like, it's important for people to know that they're not alone. I don't think I answered all. What was the second part of that question?
The second part, you kind of did. It was like, and why should people consider, like, the benefits, and then why should they consider?
Yes, and so there's some of the benefits is that if you want to see your life change, get someone who is skilled in that area to come alongside of you. And the benefits is that you'll see progression. If you want us to go from A to Z, then get ready. And I always say to people, it's easy to come into the office, but you're the one that has to do the work. I'm going to hold you accountable. Yeah. So those are really the benefits. And why should people come? Because ask yourself the question, do you want to stay the same? Do you want to be at the same place this time next year? If you are ready to grow and you want more, everybody has a potential to do it. A lot of times people just need someone who is their cheerleader that comes alongside of them and help them.
Alongside.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And a second question to that double question.
Yeah.
Do you think we are in a space right now where we need more counselors and therapy?
Absolutely. I think that God said that this world would be at the place that it is right now. And I feel like right now, we see a lot of hatred that has come out. We see, what's in the heart is going to come out. But even a lot of things in this world that has been hidden in the past is now being exposed, brought to the light. And God said that everything that's hidden would be brought to the light. And so I definitely feel like it is a strength to ask for help. It is not a weakness, contrary to what maybe we've been taught along the way. Because at the end of the day, if your big toe hurts, you're going to go to the doctor. Come on now, and to get some help. So why not have somebody, I don't care what you have to call it. If you feel like you cannot call it therapy, you feel like you cannot call it counseling. If you feel like you have to call it
Make
somebody,
something up.
Come on now, somebody that's coming alongside me to help me, whatever your phrase is. Listen, if you show me an individual that's successful, and I will show you someone who has gotten help along the way. That's a fact. That's a fact.
We can't do this life alone.
Amen to that.
I tell myself that.
That's right.
I want to be like that independent figure.
Absolutely.
But it takes an army, and
absolutely.
And he was just asking me about the last episode, and I was like giving my mom a lot of credit because she's a single mom raising me.
Yes.
But she didn't
Thank
do
God
it
for
alone.
the single moms.
Thank God for them. She didn't do it alone.
That's
she
right.
had an army of good people around her,
That's
building me up and building her
absolutely.
up. So,
absolutely. That village.
And then, one thing I want to point out that you said, you was like, it's a strength to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. We were never taught that. Especially as a black man.
Absolutely.
I was never taught that.
Absolutely.
Get it done by yourself.
Yes,
figure
absolutely.
It out.
Yes.
That's not the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely didn't grow up that way either. I think we grew up where we could talk to either our family about the problem or our pastor. But anything outside of that was not encouraged. Personally, it was not.
Keep it in house.
Absolutely. And so, whether you are Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. God has someone for you, and that's a fact.
I love that. Wow, I would love to end there. No, I'm kidding. As a young person, I'm really interested on how to find purpose in life, and like, how did you find your purpose, or if you have found your purpose, how are you living in it today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the very first thing is in how to find your purpose. I really do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that God has put a gift, and gifts plural, in everybody. In everybody. Your gifts that you have are a telltale sign that is connected to your purpose. Let me say that one more time.
Yeah. Run that back.
God has given everybody a gift. And if you want to know what your purpose is, tap into some of your gifts. So if you say, I don't know what my gifts are, like how I found out what my gifts were, my mom and dad put me involved in a lot of different things. So the things that I didn't do well, I didn't really want to continue. The things that I did, they began to hone in on it and really move me towards that area. And there are open doors for those who are gifted in specific areas. I say work on your craft, and then find someone who is doing what you want to do, and find out how they got there from A to Z. And even if yours is going to be a little bit different, that is how we learn. And that's how I specifically learned. There was one of my professors, he's passed on today. His name was Paul Limbakis. He was very well known in the area, very skilled therapist.
Des Moines area?
And in the West Des Moines area,
okay,
yes.
gotcha.
And so I was in his class, and I thought, man, I think that's what I want to do. And I said to him, will you mentor me? And he said, absolutely. And he was
some tough questions.
Absolutely. And so I said to him, even asked him, how did you go into private practice? And so literally watching other people is kind of what you should do to get from A to Z. Yeah.
That's good. I think, and then like you was talking about as a young lady, you did a lot of things, and the things you like, you didn't like, you just stopped doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're in a state of mind where we're uncomfortable with failing.
I know.
We have to get comfortable with failing in order to move on. What are your thoughts on that?
I love that, because I used to be a violin player, and I thought I was going to love it when I was really young. And I hated it. And my dad said, we bought that violin. You gonna finish
the courses.
Yeah, that's right. And so, but it taught me that I don't jump ship every time I don't like something. And it teaches you endurance. And it teaches you just to be ethical in what you say and do. Be a woman of your word. Be a man of your word. Yeah. So
I think that's a lost state too.
Yes.
I have to apologize to you.
No, you're good.
I forgot to ask you my icebreaker question.
Yes.
And it would have been really great for you, because you actually haven't seen any episodes yet. So
I haven't. No.
So my
but I'm
icebreaker,
going to.
most certainly. I hope so.
Okay.
But my icebreaker question is, and it always catch people by surprise. I need you drink. Let me find out what you drink. You drink coffee or tea first?
I probably prefer coffee, but I do drink tea as well.
You drink tea, okay?
Yeah.
Do you have a cup of coffee every day in the morning?
Almost every day.
I'm almost to that point too. So dead or alive, who's your top 3 people you would have a cup of coffee with together, all 4 of y'all, where you can listen, get wisdom, get knowledge, and also give what you got or what they gave you already along the way? Who is those top 3 people for you?
For me, I would have loved to sit down with Rosa Parks. Was one of them. And I just would have loved to hear her story. And based off of, I did not get a chance to meet her individually, but I remember, I know they still have it. Have you ever heard of it's a competition called ACTO, ACT, It's
I heard of it. I don't know much about it.
So I was involved in that when I was young. And so I remember being in DC, and she was one of the speakers back in the day. I didn't get a chance to talk with her, whatever. But, she said her story that blew up was kind of ironic because she said she was just really on that particular day, she was just tired of giving up her seat. So she's one of the individuals I would absolutely
That's a good answer.
love to
I
meet.
support that.
I also would have loved to meet. There is she's like not famous, is probably no one would
100%.
would know it,
you.
but she was a lady, an older lady that was involved in my mother's life, and she really changed my mom's life. She was just she kind of reminded me of one of those old school grandma type of women that is constantly buffeting you.
Yeah.
And so I love being around all people, but I also love being around older people because I love to learn. You know, what can I learn? I always feel like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
We've been told that.
Absolutely. And so that would be the second thing. And I never got a chance to meet my grandfather, my dad's dad. I would have loved to have met him as well.
Okay.
And I just think that I love the stories of the old school. My grandfather, my mom's dad has passed on, but before he passed away, he would say to me, "Little girl, you know, don't you tell me what I do and do know and don't know. What you read in the history books is what I went through."
Yeah.
And so, you know, we as, you know, whether you Black or whether you are oppressed in any way, you know, you may feel like you have it bad, and I'm not saying that we don't.
Yeah.
But you know, they had wounds on their backs from
wait.
you know what I'm saying?
What we're going through today isn't nearly
Amen.
close to what
That's right.
my grandma went.
That's
and what
right.
her grandma went
That's right.
through.
That's right.
Come on, like
That's
we can't seriously think we're in that space.
That's
And some
right.
People, sadly, some people do.
Yeah.
But that's I love your answer. So because when I asked that question, most people think you got to cling to celebrities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I love that your answers resonate with you. I know that it's real. I can feel it. I can feel the tension
absolutely.
in the room.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you on the
Oh my
Minds
goodness,
today.
honor to be on here.
One last and final question that I end with. I always want to shine a light on you and help as best as I can.
Yeah.
So what are some upcoming things you have?
Yeah.
And where can people find you and keep in touch with you and keep see the things that's coming down for you?
Yeah. So some upcoming things that I have, you know, when this pandemic happened, I was already kind of doing telehealth. One of the things that I was supposed to be, when COVID hit, I was supposed to be in Tanzania and administering there. So Lord willing, I'll be able to maybe go on next year.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's something that will be coming up next year. I have a speaking engagement coming up next month, or November, the first weekend in November. I've written 2 books. The first one was called Getting to Know You Before I Say I Do.
Okay.
So that is primarily for individuals who are dating or engaged. And then I have
need
a
to
book.
give my girlfriend that book.
And then I have a book called Getting to Know You After I Say I Do. Those are for married couples after the honeymoon phases is over and you're trying to live real life with your opposite, because opposites do attract. And then I have another upcoming book that I'll be done with by the end of the year, and another
nice.
product coming up. So a lot of
don't
exciting
drop the
things.
Title. Don't
I won't drop the title.
Thank you. I don't want to hold that responsibility.
I won't drop the title. But and then I will continue to minister in telehealth. I see people all over the world, in China and India, Uganda, all over.
Yes.
So I'll continue to minister to those that are missionaries and those that are serving on the front lines that a lot of times people don't hear about. So so those are some of the things that I'm doing and some upcoming things.
And where can we find you?
You can find me. My website is www.drdarleneturner.com. I'm
It'll
also
be posted in the notes.
Yes, and I'm also on Instagram, Dr. Darlene Turner as well, and on Facebook as well. So it's either under Dr. Darlene Turner or a Darlene Christian Author via Facebook. So so you can find me on those.
All that'll be posted in the notes.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to sit down with you.
Yeah.
And do this.
And one last thing I meant to say is that so I have the Christian Counseling Center, which is a 501c3, and then I also have the under Dr. Darlene Turner, where the branded products come from. But you can also contact me at the telephone number 515 515-274-1313. So
Got you.
515-274-1313.
Got you. I just got her approval to put that in the notes too. Good. I definitely would like to have you back on the show.
Oh, I'd love
100%,
to. I'd love to.
just to discuss something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And keep shining that light on you, because you're really out here doing it, and that's what my vision is for my podcast.
Yes,
is to
I
sit down
love
with
you're
people who's
doing.
actually doing it.
Yes.
And who willing to give.
Yes,
to people.
yeah.
So,
Thank you for what you're doing. And
no
seriously,
problem.
shining light on other people, that's a blessing.
Mhm.
Really
Yeah,
is.
no problem. But that wraps up another episode of The Minds with Hakeem. We'll be back with you guys shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.